Hello and welcome to the Bugatti stand at Geneva 2019. I have the honor of being stood next to Etienne Salome, who is responsible for this wonderful creation behind me. Now normally when I stand in front of a car I know quite a lot about it, but you've kept this thing very secret, and so I'm really looking to hear as much from you as to a very unique and hopefully exclusive insight into the reason behind this car and what it's all about.
So what we did is that we are celebrating 110 years anniversary of the brand, but also 110 years anniversary of Jean Bugatti himself. So we looked into the history again, and then in the end of the 30s we produced basically 4 Bugatti Type 57 SC Atlantic. SC means surbaissé compresseur. Surbaissé is 12 centimeters from the ground. Compresseur means up to more than 200 kilometers an hour, end of the 30s, gravel road.
Unreal.
2 people, luggage, like basically the perfect hyper GT car was already there. Out of those 4 cars, 1 car stayed in the family. That 1 car was the private car of Jean Bugatti himself. And sort of to say, at the Second World War, the France was split into the occupied zone and the free zone. So they moved the whole factory all the way to Bordeaux.
Wow.
And in that move, the chassis number 57453, which is the car from Jean, which happened to be completely black car, got lost. We do not know. It left the factory, it never arrived. So this is, we call this the amber room of Bugatti. It's a myth. So today, celebrating 110 years of Jean Bugatti, taking his own car and reviving the spirit of it into a modern day Bugatti, this was the exercise, what we are doing and what we are presenting today.
I mean, I'm still blown away by the fact that you just casually lost a Type 57. Standard day out. I mean, when you move house, you might lose a chair or something. But in Type 57 is incredible.
We're still looking for it.
Fantastic.
But we did not find the car.
Right.
It is, well, we're known as French people for also having taken apart race cars and having dinked them in the ground into some fabric with oil, and straight after the war taking those parts out, mounting the cars back and waiting coupe de prisonnier with the Ville mill, like, you know, it is things that we've done.
Fantastic.
So if that car would be to be found today, the Type 57 Atlantic from Jean, it will be
the most expensive car in the world.
Exactly.
For sure.
We are redefining again the automotive industry by having the top of the pyramid again being redefined.
This car you've really stepped this on a notch. Like 5 million is a big deal. What is this? This is like
16.7.
Different planet, but very significant story. Run us through what the car is. I assume it would do it a disservice to say that it's a rebodied Giron.
Well, I prefer to say it has its own life. It has its completely unique body. It has a complete unique tail light, complete unique front light. All the cab body is completely done unique. Obviously, it has the W16 quad turbo 8 liter delivering 1,500 horsepower. It would basically have those inside the car. But when I do a design, I tend to say the design is finished when there's nothing left to take out. So it is more puristic approach. It is a more elegant approach. In the end, when I do a design for a Bugatti, because I work already Bugatti the last 11 years, when you do a design for a Bugatti, you try to have a few codes. Like you do a dress for Chanel, you will have double C, you will have the camellia, you will have the double pocket, you will have basically all those things to be immediately recognizable as being a Chanel outfit. Here we have 4 things. We have obviously the Bugatti horseshoe in the front. We have the centerline accentuation, obviously coming from the Type 57 Atlantic with the dorsal seam riveted. You have the single beam tail light, which I tend to call the kiss goodbye signature.
Kiss goodbye, okay.
And then obviously the signature line on the side, which basically from every angle it would be memorable and recognizable as a Bugatti.
Fabulous. So how long has this project been in the works for?
Well, this is a project we always dreamed of doing at Bugatti. Doing a one-of-one, doing again this kind of automobile haute couture. And the chance to put it there today is only due to having the change in management and having Mr. Michelin to allow this kind of project to come to light.
Fantastic. Well, I mean, I've had the honor of walking around this show and been on pretty much every stand. I don't know of many other stands which have caused a stir quite as much as you guys taking the silks off this thing. I mean, the pictures went around the internet like instantly. It was incredible. I don't think anyone expected it either, right?
This is how we prepared it as a celebration. We're continuing the celebration by organizing a grand tour in September.
Wow.
And then obviously we'll be again in Pebble Beach this year.
Fabulous. So in terms of the performance, is it similar to Chiron?
So it would have the same engine and the same capacity, it would have exactly, but this car is not like a Divo that is made for corners. Sure. This car, it would be, if I would have to choose one car going in Tuscany for like a tour, like it is a grand tour. It's to enjoy more the road and a little bit less of lateral forces.
For sure. So in terms of it being a grand tour, have you engineered space for baggage, or is that you send your coach up front?
Usually our customers have another car for the luggage.
Yeah.
There is still the luggage compartment in the front, and that's it. We did not extra because we are using the same monocoque for the car.
Yes.
So it does not give us so much freedom.
Okay.
But I have to say, I changed the proportion of the car by making the wheelbase slightly longer.
Wow.
Which changes completely. It gives it this grand tourer look, but still having a rear mid-engine sports car. When the people are asking me what is the best part of the car, what is the car you prefer, what is the point, I say the best point is that there's just one.
The best point is that it exists.
It exists, and there will be just one built. It is like, I am a little bit more of an artist than a designer. Like when I think about those things, I think about how do you make a painting? It is not a reproduction, it is not stamped, it's not numbered. This will be just one. This is like in 110 years of history of the brand, we have never been so close to art with this car.
Amazing. So in terms of, I mean, for you then, even though you've worked at Bugatti for 11 years, it doesn't really get much better than this in terms of list of jobs on your CV.
Well, you can always top it up.
By the way, I just so happened to design this thing.
I think you can always top things up.
Okay.
Yes.
Is that an underlying nod that there might be something else coming?
No, it's always something else.
Okay, cool.
Life is short, but still exciting. So now we have more stuff, obviously, in the drawers at Bugatti Design, and it's not exactly decided where we would go. Sure. But for sure, the automobile haute couture, like this one, is basically also a certain game changer for our own brand.
Fantastic. Well, I've got to say, congratulations. Thank you so much for your time. I'm going to give these guys a walk and talk around the car to show you the finer details, of which there are many. But big day for Bugatti. Congrats.
And thank you so much for coming to see us in Geneva this year.
Thank you. Thanks so much, man. Okay, so down to the finer details. First of all, because I'm here with Michelin, I just want to draw your attention to these very special tyres indeed. In fact, if I stand back, it actually has a better effect as to what I'm trying to explain to you. So if you look at the very edge of the spokes on the alloys, it appears to extend over the tyres themselves. And that's because they have come up with quite a unique paint process on the tyres to create the illusion of an overly extended spoke on the alloys. It's quite impressive. Interestingly, if I go over to the Divo, there's a sort of crisp example here of the collaboration with Michelin developing painted tyre walls to match with the livery of the car. The significance of these tyres and the ones on the black car, yes, it is called the black car, is that these have been developed on Michelin's aeroplane rig. So there is no car rig right now that is capable of measuring the integrity of tyres at over 400 kilometers an hour. So they have to send these off individually to their aviation testing facility in the USA. And then once each tyre has been individually created, they go through an X-ray machine to check the integrity of the tyre once it's been created and baked. And then at that stage, each tyre is individually checked by a real human, hands checked to make sure that they are up to coping with the stresses and forces that come with such a high performance car. Speaking of high performance, let's run through some of the stats of this incredible one-of-one Bugatti. So it's powered by a very similar engine and drivetrain that supports the Chiron, which is an 8-litre quad turbocharged W16 engine, developing 1,500 PS, which is basically 1,500 horsepower. More impressive for me is the 1,600 Newton meters of torque. It's absolutely bonkers, which propels this glorious piece of sculpture along the road at 2.5 seconds to 60, and ultimately topping out at 420 kilometers an hour. And what price does all of this come out, you may ask? Well, a cool 16.7 million euros. It's absolutely absurd, isn't it? I remember when these guys launched the Veyron, and we thought it was a big deal that the car was approaching £1 million. Now the lineup on the stand today puts this at around about 3 million, the Chiron. Then we have the Devo at about 5 million. And then we've all completely lost the plot and presented the world with a car for 16 million euros. I mean, it's absolutely incredible, don't get me wrong. And I guess as far as low production volume cars go, a one-of-one is as limited as it gets. Now, speaking of details around the rear of the car, check out the intricate details of this rear light bar. Bugatti originally introduced the world's largest single-piece light bar, and now they have gone and 3D printed it and made it transparent. So look, you can see my hand under there, and it still has these beautiful, intricate inlays throughout the light bar, which flows as one piece of sculpture. Look at this. And these are the things you can get away with when you produce just one road car and throw 16 million euros at it. Now, despite the fact that from far away it looks all black, what it is actually exposed carbon fiber, but the designers have applied an extra level of black coating to the carbon so that far away it still looks like a painted black car, where in actual fact it is exposed carbon. One of the highlights of this car for me is the alloy wheels, which if you look behind the primary spokes, there is a very organic formation that supports the alloy. Now, this has been developed by an algorithm which interprets what the strongest formation would look like in order to support this wheel, but by making it the lightest possible structure that it could ever be. It's quite hard to wrap your head around. The result is this really free-flowing, as I mentioned, organic formation that sits behind and supports the overall structure of the wheel. This is something that hasn't been designed. No one has conceived this shape. This was interpreted by a computer algorithm, and that is the shape which resulted to sit behind the primary design of these alloys. It's really trick, and once again, an example of something incredibly bespoke that you could only develop for a one-off car like this. One more interesting thing to note, this is the first time that Bugatti have introduced Illuminated Logo on the rear of the car, which is pretty trick, and which follows on nicely from the Type 57 inspired line that runs all the way down the top of the car. It really is. I mean, this is a true case of one of those cars that photos doesn't really do it justice. I personally think it looks incredible. It's a shame we're not going to see it on the road, but we might see it at Pebble Beach, and who knows, we might be there to get a rolling shot to see what this thing looks like when it's alive. And finally, moving around to the front of the car, you can clearly see the Bugatti Design Dna, only it is vastly exaggerated. Look at that! For the sake of context, to achieve the performance figures, this car will consume 60,000 litres of air, while 800 litres of water will be pumped around the engine every single minute. Yeah, and to achieve that, this car has 32 fuel injectors. Needless to say, this car drinks with 2 straws. Flat out, the car can consume an entire 100-litre fuel tank in just over 6 minutes, and to keep the car cool, it requires 10 radiators. So often is the case with Bugatti that the things that you don't see are sometimes more impressive as the things that you do. So take, for example, the dust caps that will grace these alloys and tyres. Standing still, they will weigh around about 2.5 grams, but at full speed at 261 miles an hour, they're subject to 3,000 times their own weight. And as a result, they had to redevelop entirely the dust caps just for this car. One of my favorite features about the setup of this car surrounds the catalytic converters, of which it has 6. And the combined surface area of said 6 catalytic converters equates to 230,000 square meters, or 30 football pitches of filtration system. Honestly, the numbers that surround every component on these things are incredible. And this is the most shocking and awesome of them all so far. Now, it is a concept, there is no interior on the car yet, but I'm hoping to revisit this car later on in the year, where it may make an appearance at other car shows. So there you have it, the first look at this incredible one-of-one Bugatti. Let me know what you think in the comments below. No doubt we're going to be seeing some more really exciting cars coming from this brand soon. As always, thanks for watching. I shall see you next time. Ciao!